One of the things I like about the New York roughie scene is all the familiar faces. Uta Erickson, Linda Boyce, Maria Leese, Darlene Bennett, Sue Ackers, June Roberts. The list goes on and on and on. It seems like it was one big group of fun people making a bunch of sexy movies as weekend projects, and that's not too far from the truth. Which is pretty cool. I mean, what did you do last weekend?
Oh.
And having a familiar pool of talent is often missing from the West Coast roughies, but not always. This one has a Russ Meyer gal. Exploitation Reviews, and me, Rob, and today I'm taking a look at A Sweet Sickness from 1968. This film comes to us from one-time director Jon Martin, and he almost wasn't even that. The production ran out of money, so they sold what they had to David F. Friedman, who finished it up and put it out. Let's check it out. We open on some nice double exposure shots of Hollywood. Yes, this is a West Coast roughie. A narrator tells us that Midwest gals often come to Hollywood in search of stardom, and more often than not, the furthest they make it is the casting couch. Ah, yet another Hollywood casting couch movie. You know what they say, write what you know. After some opening credits over the dawn cleaning of the streets, we meet our gals. That's Dee, played by the lovely Vincene Wallace. She was last on the channel in Russ Meyer's Vixen. She played the sexy redhead that Vixen, vixenated. And that's her roommate Connie, played by Playboy playmate Vicki Carbe. And here's a less than fun bit of Hollywood trivia. Around the time this was filmed, Vicki had a son who drowned. One night in 1969, she was still very much distraught, and she showed a picture of the boy to Bill Cosby, who then gave her drugs, promising to make her feel better. Then he took her back to his office, and I bet you can guess what happened next. This, along with the other heinous things Cosby did, puts him very high on the list of most morally depraved actors ever, right behind this actor from Home Alone 2.
Fascists have taken over our planet.
Anyway, back to the movie. Our gals pull themselves out of bed. Connie has to catch a plane. She kind of falls out of her dressing gown, and that's nothing you can see here on YouTube.
Now, just work here.
But of course, we don't have to stay here. Support the channel on Patreon and get access to uncensored, spicy versions of my reviews. Link is in the description. Connie then hops in the shower. But wouldn't you know it, Dee doesn't have a back brush, so Connie needs some help getting clean. So Dee obliges. And that's also nothing you can see here. Connie takes off and Dee is visited by her landlord. She tries to fight him off with a bowl of fruit, but that doesn't work because her apples is exactly what he came here to grab.
They're not apples, but they're round.
After, catching Connie up on her rent, the landlord goes outside and immediately buys the Girl Scout cookies from a Girl Scout who was outside Connie's apartment. What a nice visual metaphor. It tells us that Connie didn't get her cookies.
It ain't over until you both get your cookies.
We hop over to an agent. He wants to make sure his new client looks good out of her clothes before sending her over for a job. She's happy to oblige with a little dance, but as soon as that creep agent tries to touch her, she threatens to call the cops. I like her. She knows what's up. But since she isn't going to get that job, the agent calls up Connie, who accepts. Before Connie gets there, though, we get a pretty funny scene with the agent. A big gal shows up.
Your name is?
Bertha.
Bertha.
Yeah, of course it is. The scene is played for laughs, but if you like your gals thicker than grandma's oatmeal, and really, who doesn't, you'll like this scene. Connie makes her way to the job. The way it works is she dances and an auctioneer auctions off her clothing one item at a time. That's a pretty cool way to raise, let's say, money. So now Connie has some money and she plans to move into her own apartment. Have things finally turned around for her? Is she finally going to make a go of it out here in Hollywood land? Well, that's enough out of me as far as plot goes. Let's talk some highlights. It's nice to see Wallace in a lead role. I always liked her in Vicene, but she was playing second fiddle in that movie to Erica Gavin. Here, she gets a chance to play her own fiddle, and she can carry a tune just fine. The other ladies in this movie are also fine. I mentioned Vicki, Carbe, and Bertha, but we're also treated to a lively dance at the club where Connie did the auction. The dancer is as skinny as Bertha wasn't, so this movie delivers some variety in that department. And near the end of the film, there's a group scene with some whipping cream. It's shot with lots of Dutch angles and a fisheye lens to give it that surreal feel, and it works pretty well. Beyond the skinful scenes, the story here mostly hangs together as a story. It does take those dancing breaks, which are relatively common in films like this, but here they at least attempt to explain how those dances play into the story, so respect. As with many roughies, or just any low-budget films in general from this era, we get some nice shots of the city, and here that city is Los Angeles, which is a nice change of pace from New York. Oh, and I don't want to spoil the end, but there is some stop-motion animation, which is pretty entertaining. It's not good stop-motion animation by any stretch, but it's still fun that it's here at all. This might be the only roughie I've seen with stop-motion animation. But beyond the ladies and their environment, the film's not perfect. Like a landlord getting his Girl Scout cookies, this film has some shortcomings. Well, it's hard to complain too much about a film like this. It does what it promises to do. We get plenty of skin and a pretty sleazy story, so the film is a success. But even though the film is only around 65 minutes long, it does drag on occasion. Some of the scenes go too long. The dance at the club goes on, and there's a bedroom scene that goes on and on and on. This might be because the film was almost not finished. As mentioned at the top of the video, David F. Friedman had to do some pickup shots to finish the movie. At that point, he was probably just trying to get up to the required 60-minute mark so he could sell it to theaters and drive-ins. And I get it. Sometimes you put in just enough effort to finish.